What if the house you moved into already knew your name? What if every time you blinked, the walls seemed closer? And what if the thing watching your daughter sleep wasn't human? Because that's exactly what the Haydens found out. Too late. The Dunmore house was supposed to be a fresh start, a quiet escape from the city, far from the noise, far from the past. Olivia Hayden smiled when they pulled into the long gravel driveway. The front porch still had the old iron lamp swaying in the wind, just like in the photos. But as the wind passed through the open fields, it didn't feel like peace. Felt like a warning, like something was holding its breath. They moved in on a Sunday. By Tuesday, Olivia was already whispering to herself at night. And by Friday, her daughter Clara had stopped speaking altogether. I thought maybe it was just stress, Olivia whispered once to a neighbor before that neighbor stopped answering the door. She'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the creaks in the hallway, counting them like steps. She told her husband, Marcus, someone's in the house. He said it was just the pipes. But pipes don't hum a child's lullaby. Pipes don't whisper your name in your own voice. 3 weeks before the move, Clara had drawn a picture, a black crayon, a little girl, her, standing in front of a tall house, with no windows, no doors, just eyes, hundreds of them, blinking. Clara called it the watching house. No one paid attention. Not then. The first time Olivia saw it, she wasn't even sure what she saw. She had gotten up to check on Clara. The door was slightly open. Moonlight spilled into the room like liquid silver. And there, at the far corner of her daughter's bed, a figure, bent forward, as if listening to Clara breathe. But when Olivia blinked, it was gone. The next morning, she found small footprints, wet ones, leading away from the bed. But the floor wasn't wet, and Clara's feet were dry. That night, Olivia heard a knock on the attic door, from the inside, and Clara finally spoke. He said, I look like her. How do you explain your child talking to someone no one else can see? What do you do when they describe that someone in chilling detail? What if the attic above your bedroom, the one you never opened, was already unlocked from the inside? This wasn't sleepwalking. This wasn't imagination. This was a haunting that knew their names and their memories. Olivia didn't sleep that night. Clara's voice had changed, not in tone, but in rhythm, as if something else was pacing her speech. She said, I look like her, Clara whispered again. Only this time she was drawing. Another figure, same black crayon. No eyes, just a mouth, wide open. Olivia watched her daughter's hand move slowly across the paper. She wanted to snatch it away, to stop whatever this was. But something deep inside her froze. That kind of cold doesn't come from fear. It comes from recognition, like your soul remembering something your mind refuses to face. Marcus tried to laugh it off. He kissed Clara on the head and said, She's got your wild imagination. But Olivia noticed. He locked the bedroom door that night and placed a chair beneath the handle. 2 years before Dunmore House was ever listed, there had been an accident. Not publicized, not in any official records Olivia could find, but one grainy message on an old forum, an anonymous post. Don't stay overnight. She hates mothers, especially the ones who smile. Olivia had smiled in that listing photo, holding Clara, beaming. She closed the laptop, turned to look at her daughter, and found her staring directly at the attic ceiling, not blinking. That morning, the attic door was wide open. No one admitted to touching it, but the air that poured down was thick, like something had been festering in stillness. Marcus climbed the narrow stairs. Olivia followed behind. It was empty. No furniture, no dust, just one thing, a child's shoe, old, leather cracked, faded pink. Inside it, a tooth, still white, still sharp. Clara's voice came from below them. He left it for me, so I don't forget her. Olivia felt like she couldn't breathe, not from panic, from memory, because suddenly she remembered something. A dream. She had it weeks before they moved in. Corridor. A little girl running barefoot, screaming without sound, slamming her fists on a wooden door, while something dragged her back, by her hair. The house had shown her, before they even arrived. Was that a dream? Or a warning? That night, Clara stood at their bedroom door. She didn't knock. She just stood, eyes wide, dress soaked, mouth twitching. "I saw her," she whispered. "She said she used to be me." What happens when your child starts speaking in someone else's voice? What do you do when they begin remembering things that never happened to them, but did happen to someone long dead? And what if the house itself starts remembering too? This wasn't possession. It was inheritance. And the debt was long overdue. Olivia stood frozen in the doorway, watching her daughter's silhouette drip rainwater onto the wooden floor. But there hadn't been any rain. Not for days. Clara's eyes didn't move. She didn't blink. Her voice came out like it was dragging through water. Slow. Gargled. "Wrong. She said she used to be me," Clara whispered again. "And she wants her place back." Olivia dropped to her knees and touched Clara's skin. Ice. So cold her breath fogged in the air between them. She pulled her daughter into her arms, and flinched, because her dress wasn't the one Olivia had put her in. This one was old, hand-stitched, the name Annabeth sewn into the collar, with red thread. But Clara didn't own a dress like this. Not yet. 2 weeks before the move, Clara had woken from a nap screaming. Olivia had rushed in, found her curled in the corner of her room, hands clamped over her ears. "She's humming," she cried. "She's humming and won't stop." When Olivia asked who, Clara only said, "The girl under the floor." They thought it was a bad dream, gave her warm milk, held her until she slept. But that song, a soft, eerie lullaby with no words, kept returning in Olivia's mind. And now, she heard it in the hallway, soft, off-key, coming from the floorboards. Marcus tried to rationalize it all. Old house, drafts, creaks. His version of bravery was denial, until he found the drawings, hidden behind Clara's toy chest, stacked in neat rows, each one darker than the last. A girl's face split in half, one side smiling, the other rotted. Clara had written a name in crayon beneath every one. "Me." Marcus went pale, and for the first time, he didn't sleep that night either. Olivia couldn't get warm, not even under blankets. She kept seeing reflections, in the window glass, in the microwave door, in the TV when it was off. Always a little girl behind her, never moving. But when she turned around, nothing. And Clara had stopped calling her mom. Now she said, "Miss Liv." That's what Olivia's grandmother used to call her. No one else ever had. Except Annabeth, a name they hadn't spoken aloud. Olivia went back to the attic. Alone this time, something inside her said, "Look under the floorboards." She pulled them up one by one, breath shallow, heart pounding, dust and dirt rising into her eyes. Then, a small wooden box. Inside it, a photo, sepia, faded, of a girl who looked just like Clara. Same eyes, same curls. But the photo was over 100 years old. Dated October 19th, 1923, and the back read, "To my sweet Liv, forever yours, Annabeth." That night, Clara stood by the fireplace, hair wet again, hands trembling. She said the fire was her punishment. She looked up at Olivia. "And if I don't burn, she'll burn you instead." What if the voice inside your child's head wasn't imaginary, but angry? What if every time you tried to leave the house, something stopped you? And what if your child began to change? Not just emotionally, but physically? This wasn't a haunting. This was a reclamation. And the price was blood. Olivia didn't sleep. Not anymore. She sat in the hallway, watching the door to Clara's room, listening for footsteps, or that lullaby, the one with no words, just humming, soft, crooked, like someone smiling while bleeding. Marcus stayed in the guest room now. He said he needed space to think. But Olivia knew the truth. He was afraid. Afraid of Clara. Afraid of what he saw 2 nights ago, when Clara stood at the edge of their bed, holding matches. "I only lit one," she said softly. "But it didn't catch. She won't let me." 3 days ago, Olivia had driven into town. She needed answers. She found the county records office. Small, dusty, mostly abandoned. After hours of searching, she found it. Dunmore House. Original owner, Caroline Bexley Dunmore. Died 1911. Estate passed to her niece, Annabeth Levette Dunmore. Age at inheritance, 10. Declared missing, October 1923. Presumed dead. Buried with no body. No service. Just a headstone. A flame that never flickered. Olivia ran her fingers over the name. Annabeth Levette. "Live?" she whispered aloud. The same name on the back of that photograph. The same name Clara had started calling her. She turned the page in the dusty file. Attached, a handwritten letter, unopened, addressed to future mother. It read, "If you find this, she's still there. She waits for the girl who fits her skin. Don't let her finish the fire." Olivia dropped the folder. Her hands trembled. Her breath caught, because in the top corner of the file, taped to the record, was a lock of blonde hair, braided, burnt at the tip. She drove home, fast, heart racing. The house came into view. Smoke, thin, climbing. She bolted inside. No alarms, no flames, just Clara, sitting cross-legged in front of the fireplace. A candle lit in her lap, eyes closed, mouth whispering. In a language Olivia didn't know. There were symbols drawn on the floor, in ashes. "Clara!" The child opened her eyes. But they weren't Clara's. Not entirely. One eye green, the other darker, older. Olivia screamed. She grabbed the candle, blew it out, pulled her daughter away. Clara struggled, clawed, laughed. "She wants me now," Clara said through clenched teeth. "She picked me, because I listen." The fireplace crackled. But there was no wood, only old, blackened bricks, one of which fell loose, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside it, a charred doll, missing its face, stuffed with human hair, and a necklace, still warm, still pulsing, like a heartbeat. The house creaked above them. A door slammed upstairs. Clara whispered, "She's coming," not in fear, in excitement. Olivia held her child tighter. But she couldn't feel her anymore. Not really. Something was wedged between them, a memory that didn't belong. And Clara began humming, that same lullaby. But now, Olivia could hear the words. "The fire went out, so I stayed cold, but now you're here, and I'll grow old." That night, Olivia woke to the smell of burning. She rushed into Clara's room, found her standing on the windowsill, arms outstretched, whispers rising in smoke. "I remember everything now," Clara said. "She was never alone in the fire, and neither will I be." What if your child started remembering a death that never belonged to them? What if the attic didn't just hold secrets, but kept them alive? And what if someone else had tried to stop this before and failed? This wasn't just about a girl lost in flames. This was a cycle, and it was Clara's turn. The next morning, Olivia didn't speak. Not to Marcus, not to Clara. She sat at the edge of the bathtub, hands trembling, staring at the faint outline of ashes under her nails. The doll from the fireplace, she'd buried it, deep behind the old garden fence. But even as she poured the dirt over it, she could feel it watching, because something about that doll felt alive, or worse, undead. Olivia began seeing flashes. Not dreams, not visions, but memories, only they weren't hers. She'd be folding laundry and suddenly smell burnt flesh. Or she'd blink, and the hallway would flicker, briefly showing a version of the house with soot on the walls and screams echoing from the vents. Clara was slipping away, piece by piece, and Olivia was beginning to remember things she'd never lived. That evening, Olivia went into the attic, alone again, but this time, she brought salt, candles, a photo of Clara. She had read things, old rites, old protections. Not that she believed in them, but she had to try something. The attic air was thick, mildew, rot, and something else, sweet, like burnt sugar. In the corner, beneath the beams, she found what she'd somehow known would be there. A trapdoor, latched from below. She hesitated, then opened it. Stairs, descending into darkness. And at the bottom, a room no one had mentioned in the listing. Candles lined the walls, old, melted to the floor. Some still flickered faintly, as if breath still hung in the room. In the center, a circle of stone. Charred black, a scorch mark, in the shape of a girl's body. Next to it, an iron ring bolted to the floor, with a chain still attached, and carved into the wooden beams above, over and over again. "She won't burn alone." A wooden box lay in the corner. Inside, a collection of drawings. Not Clara's. Older, fragile paper. Each sketch showed a girl screaming, bound to the floor, surrounded by fire. Each was signed in looping script. "For Liv." On the final page, a note. "She said I could go if I found another, so I chose you. I'm sorry." No name, no date. But Olivia knew who wrote it. She didn't know how, but she knew. Her own grandmother had been in this house once, and survived. By giving the spirit a child. She stumbled back upstairs, heart thundering, hands shaking, the chain still clinking behind her in memory. She ran to the bedroom. Clara was gone. The window open, curtains blowing, that damn lullaby echoing down the hallway. She found Clara in the dining room, standing barefoot on the table, face turned upward, mouth open wide, as if trying to catch something in the air. When Olivia called her name, Clara turned, but she didn't recognize her. "I told her she could stay," she said softly. "I told her you wouldn't mind." Marcus burst in. He'd been outside searching. He saw Olivia, panicked, shaking, and for once, he didn't argue. He grabbed Clara off the table, held her tight. That's when the lights went out. All of them. Silence fell, heavy, pressed into their eardrums like fingers. And then, a whisper, from every wall, every vent, every pipe. "You promised me." The candles in the attic flickered back to life, on their own. The hidden door opened without a touch. And from upstairs, the unmistakable sound of a chain sliding across the floor. What if someone in your family had already made a deal? One you were never meant to know about? What if the haunting wasn't about revenge, but replacement? And what if the name your daughter keeps whispering is the same name etched into a grave that's been dug up from the inside? This isn't a haunting, it's a bloodline, and the fire has never gone out. The house groaned under its own weight. Storm clouds gathered over the roof like bruises, and every window in the Dunmore house fogged from the inside. Clara no longer answered to her name. Not completely. When Olivia called for her, sometimes she came, sometimes she didn't, and when she did, her eyes flickered. One blue, one black. She was becoming something else, and Olivia feared the truth, because deep down, she knew this wasn't possession. It was inheritance. "I need to know the truth," Olivia whispered to herself, fingers clenched around the old photo, the one she found in the box under the fireplace. Annabeth Levet, a girl who looked exactly like Clara, but lived 100 years ago. She remembered the signature. "To my sweet Liv, forever yours." Why had that name followed her across generations? Why was Clara humming that lullaby in her sleep, in perfect pitch, though she'd never heard it in her life? Olivia returned to the records office, desperate, digging deeper into dusty files and hand-typed funeral logs. That's when she found it, a sealed envelope inside an old ledger, marked in faded ink, Levet's choice. Inside, a journal page, tattered, burned at the edges. "I was promised she'd stay asleep, They told me a blood offering would bind her to silence. So I gave them my daughter's name to pass down, as payment, as warning, as seal. But I never knew the name would call her back. The journal entry was unsigned, but Olivia saw the date. October 21st, 1923, the day after Annabeth disappeared. Olivia drove to the cemetery, the one just past Holloway Hill, the one nobody visited anymore. She found it at the edge of the treeline, Annabeth Levet Dunmore, carved in soft stone, overgrown with weeds. But the earth beneath it wasn't still. It was broken, cracked open from underneath. Something had risen, or tried to. She reached down, fingers trembling, scraped dirt from the headstone. Beneath the moss was a second inscription. A flame borrowed is a flame returned. Blood remembers what the mind forgets. She backed away, heart pounding, because the truth was becoming clear. Clara wasn't just being haunted. She was being claimed. Olivia stood in Clara's doorway that night. Clara was curled in bed, but she wasn't sleeping. She was waiting, eyes wide, hands crossed over her chest, like a body ready for burial. "Are you still my daughter?" Olivia whispered. Clara turned her head slowly, smiled. Sometimes. The attic lights flickered. Again. The house seemed to pulse with breath. Marcus was packing bags. "We're leaving tonight," he snapped. "I don't care where we go. This place is sick." But when he tried to open the front door, it wouldn't budge. Not stuck. Sealed. As if the wood had grown into the frame. The walls around them creaked, almost in disappointment. And from the attic, that sound again. The chain. Dragging. Slithering. Coming closer. Olivia went back up. This time she didn't tremble. She didn't run. She carried the photograph, the doll, and Clara's birth certificate. She laid them in the scorched circle on the floor, and she said aloud, "Take me instead." Silence. Then the air grew hot. The candles reignited, every single one. And from the shadows, a voice, soft, female, broken. "You were already promised." Olivia's hands shook. She looked down. In the center of the doll's chest, a name stitched in red thread. Not Clara, not Annabeth, but Olivia. It hit her like ice. Her grandmother had survived Dunmore House by giving it Olivia's name, before she was even born. That's why the dreams started before they moved in. That's why Clara looked like Annabeth. Because Clara was never the sacrifice. Olivia was. The fire hadn't come for her daughter. It had come for her. And then Clara appeared at the top of the stairs. Dress torn, barefoot, eyes black as pitch. "She's awake now," Clara whispered, and smiled. "You can't take it back. What if the haunting never wanted your child? But you? What if the whispers in the walls were calling you home? And what if your name, the one your mother gave you, was never yours to begin with? This isn't the end of a haunting. It's the closing of a pact. And the fire never forgets its promise." The final night inside Dunmore House didn't begin with screams. It began with silence. Thick, too still. The kind of quiet you only hear in a graveyard, or before something terrible breaks loose. The walls no longer creaked. They listened. The air smelled like kerosene. Sweet, deadly. Olivia stood at the base of the attic steps, barefoot, holding her daughter's old blanket, the one she used to sleep with before the humming began. Behind her, Marcus was yelling, "Call someone, call the cops." But the phones were dead. The doors still fused shut. And Clara stood smiling at the top of the stairs. Her voice was layered now. Not one tone, but two. The second voice was older, hungrier. "I know what you are," Olivia said, voice trembling. Clara blinked slowly. "But do you know who you are?" A pause. Then a whisper. "Annabeth." "No." Olivia stepped forward. "You're mine." Clara tilted her head. The candle beside her flickered, then doubled in height. "You were hers first," she replied. "She gave your name. Now I give your body." That night in 1923, Annabeth had been locked in the fire room by her aunt, Caroline Dunmore, a woman obsessed with eternal life, but who discovered a different kind of immortality through sacrifice. Each generation, one girl, one name, given willingly, bound by blood and ash. Annabeth tried to run, tried to fight, but when the fire didn't kill her, something else stepped in, something that stayed. And now it wanted to finish the deal. In the attic, Olivia lit her own match, not out of fear, but defiance. The flames danced in her eyes, not wild, but controlled. She stepped into the circle, the same scorched stone that once held Annabeth's final scream. "Take me," she whispered. "This ends now. No more names." Clara stepped forward. Eyes still dark, but something trembled. For a brief second, Olivia saw her daughter again, scared, small, sobbing. The match burned down to Olivia's fingertips, but the flames didn't touch her. Instead, the house groaned. The chain clattered in the shadows. The wind rushed through the vents. And a scream, not Clara's, but Annabeth's, erupted from the walls. The fire leapt upward, but wrapped itself around Olivia like a ribbon of light, then turned and struck the doll still lying in the circle. It ignited, screamed, and split open. From it, a second necklace rolled out, identical to the one Olivia found, except this one had Clara's name etched on it. Fresh, new, but unburnt. The fire receded. Olivia awoke at dawn. The house still stood, but it was empty, dead. The walls were cold again. The windows opened. The doors gave way, and Clara lay sleeping peacefully in Olivia's lap. No humming, no second voice, no flickering candlelight, just a child, safe, whole. Marcus cried when he saw them both alive, held them like he was afraid they'd vanish. But Olivia didn't speak for hours, because she knew the fire hadn't taken her. It had traded, and what it left behind was watching, always watching. Weeks later they moved out, never looked back. But on Clara's 7th birthday, she found a box on the front porch. No name, no return address. Inside, a dress, hand-stitched, labeled in red thread, "To live, forever yours." Do you think this was a ghost, or something worse? Could you survive Dunmore House? Tell us in the comments below. Candle, subscribe to the Veil of Secret for more true stories that should never be told, but must be.